Hi, my name is Boho Bonnie, and today I'm going to be sharing about something that I get so many compliments on. Literally, almost everyone who comes to my house, walks by my house, people walking their dogs, everyone loves this thing, and I get almost as many questions on it. And so I think it's a good topic for us to do a video on. And it is my lovely vertical living wall garden or living wall or whatever the heck you want to call it. I love this thing. This is my third year to do it. I spent this last weekend kind of doing my new annual tradition, which is cleaning out all of the cloth planter pockets and going to the nursery, strategizing exactly how I'm going to lay everything out, which is something that I learned along the way of these, last 3 years, and something I definitely want to share with you to save you some time and energy. And then just kind of digging in, getting my hands dirty, getting everything planted and watching it grow throughout the season. I love a vertical wall garden because, one, it kind of saves my back. I'm not having to bend over a garden bed. I don't have to worry about weeds infesting it. The bees and the butterflies love this thing if you put the right ingredients in, the right flowers. I also make sure mine is functional by making it a cross flower / herb garden. And so we're constantly going out there and picking fresh basil and thyme and rosemary, and it's just amazing, right? So I'm going to give you all the tips, tricks, best practices that I have learned over the past 3 years. We're going to share some video footage, let you see what this thing looks like, take some things into consideration that you might not have previously thought about, and make sure that I am letting you know how you can do this in the most affordable way where you're going to have happy and thriving plants that will just wow your neighbors. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is figure out where you're going to put this thing, right? So you need to kind of walk around your house, figure out where you're going to put it and how you're going to affix it. Now, I fixed mine to brick. I've got a brick wall, and we've got it on a southern facing wall because that's kind of the wall that we had available to us, right? And with a southern facing wall, you're going to get really hot exposure all day long. But fortunately for us, in the particular location that I picked, it is shaded by the house itself. Once we get into that really hot afternoon sun. So morning sun, great. Hot afternoon sun, not so great. So pick a spot, kind of keep that in mind. Then you're going to think about what size area that you want to cover because there are so many different sizes. Now I have linked the exact model, the exact brand that I purchased down below. This thing has held up amazingly well over the past 3 years. And I live in Oklahoma, y'all, where we get hail on a regular basis. Storms, winter storms, tornadoes. This thing has done really well. It is showing absolutely zero signs of wear 3 years in. And so highly recommend this brand. It's linked below. They have all different sizes, so, pick the size and the number of pockets that is going to work for you. Now, when I first picked mine, I don't know why I would be surprised, but in all things Bonnie land, it was the more the merrier, right? Let's get as many pockets as we can. So I got a 36 pocket, and mind you, there are some with a lot more than 36 pockets, so that's not that many. But something to keep in mind is the cost that it's going to take to refill this thing every year. You also want to know kind of how much soil each of those pockets is going to hold because some plants are going to want to stay moist for longer. Some plants can dry out, right? And so we need to bear that in mind, especially if you're not going to be around the house all summer to water this thing every 2 or 3 days. If you like to take big trips, you might want to get something that has less pockets, but are bigger pockets. So they've got more soil in there and they retain that water longer. Well, the only problem with going on vacation is entrusting stuff that you really care about to somebody else. And I asked Joe to water every other day, but I'm guessing that that did not happen. So these are all things to kind of keep in mind and think about for a little bit before you make your purchasing decision. So here's what we've got left of the vertical wall garden from last year. As you can see, everything's pretty much dead. That's what happens. Anyways, I have a lot of stuff that's going to be going in there, mostly herbs and some flowers, like these little fluffy things. Also, these are really cool. They look like tiny little orchids. Super cute. Got some of this to fill it out with, add some color, and then, you know, some of these others are obviously going inside the house. So as I'm cleaning these out, I am actually going to be reusing a lot of the dirt. I've already made up a fresh batch of dirt with some amendments in it, but there's no reason to get rid of this dirt. And so I'm just kind of taking it off, and then taking, you know, the dead foliage and putting it in the compost pile there. But I'll mix this back in with that. So there's no sense in throwing that away. At this point, what I like to do is kind of figure out where I'm going to put everything, and a couple things go into this decision. First off, color. Obviously, we want a good contrast of color. So if we've got a purple over here, we want a purple over here, yellow, you get me. Anyways, the second thing, and this is the most important thing, is that you're looking at the care tags to know which of these are going to want a little more shade, which would mean they need to be a little bit higher because I've got this little overhang that kind of shades these first couple rows a little bit, and which want full sun, meaning that they're going to need to be a little bit lower. So make that your primary decision maker, and then kind of that contrast of color can help make the last minute decisions as to where everything goes. And so I'm just kind of keeping them in their little things for now until I decide where everything's going to go, so that you don't have to move things around. That's always a big pain in the butt. And there we go, finished product. I'm just gonna go ahead and get them watered, and by the end of the summer, it'll be all full and bushy and beautiful. And then I'll have to start all over because it'll all die.